The principal's face changed a little as she stepped into the house. The woman who was known for her fierce and strict personality instantly turned into a quiet, shy girl. A light but heartfelt smile spread across her face, as if a sweet wave of old memories had touched her. Slowly she looked up, the smile still on her lips. Then she spoke in a very soft voice. "My name is Ye Wuxian. You can call me Wuxian or senior sister." She held her breath for a moment, then her tone became a little serious. "But when we're at work, you have to call me principal." She smiled once more and asked, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" Hearing this, both Kim and Xiaoman were completely stunned for a few moments. Surprise was clearly visible on their faces, as if someone had done some magic in front of their eyes. Is this the principal? Kim thought to himself. His eyes automatically got stuck on the principal's face. The woman whom they knew till now as a strict, disciplinarian and mysterious woman, always in her uniform, covered from head to toe, whose eyes also reflected discipline. Today the same woman was standing in front of them in a very beautiful form. Her open hair, a light smile on her face, and there was a sparkle in her eyes. Xiaoman whispered softly, "I never thought that the principal could be so beautiful." Kim nodded, but could not say anything. A new feeling had started growing in both their minds, an unknown curiosity along with respect. Seeing the surprised eyes of both of them, the principal smiled lightly. There was a bit of shyness, a bit of intimacy, and a hidden uneasiness in that smile. "Okay, forget it," she said softly, but this time her tone did not have the harshness that was usually there in her words. "You can call me by whatever name you want." Her gaze remained lowered for a few moments. Then she slowly took a deep breath. "It will not be easy to change my name suddenly to everyone." She said this to herself, as if explaining to herself. After this, she raised her eyes and started looking around the room. A different expression suddenly appeared on her face. "By the way," she said softly, "where is Lu Fan? He should be here." At the same time, Jian Yang entered the room with 3 cups of coffee in her hand. Her movements were simple, but her eyes were filled with a warmth of familiarity. She offered one of the cups to the principal and said with a smile, "Lu Fan is in his bedroom right now. He had to make a call, so he went in there." The principal nodded and took the coffee cup. Just then, the sound of someone coming down the stairs resounded, soft, but enough to capture the attention of the whole room. Everyone's eyes turned in that direction involuntarily. Lu Fan was slowly walking down the stairs, but his eyes were fixed on the tablet screen, where Captain Li's face was visible. Captain Li, the same person Lu Fan had met before. When Uncle Tu sent him to practice before the national exams, he had accompanied Captain Li on many dangerous missions. He had even saved his life. "The graves are for those brave soldiers of the Griffin Legion." Captain Li's voice was low but heavy, "who were brutally killed by Jin Zixi's army." He paused and took a breath. "We lost them, but their memories will live on." Captain Li's voice was soft but respectful on the video call. "Their graves have been successfully built," he said. "Lu Fan, thank you for your hard work. What you did wasn't just a mission. It was an act to put our brothers' souls to rest. Please pass on our condolences to their families who suffered." Lu Fan's eyes drooped. He nodded deeply. No words could fully express his feelings at that moment. Then, he smiled slightly. He slowly turned his tab's camera towards the room. "These are," he said, "my family and my friends." The camera captured each face: Xiaoman's gentle smile, Kim's serious eyes, Wuxian's deep gaze, and Jian Yang's calm presence. "If everything goes well," Lu Fan said, "and we enter the portal later, we can all meet once again." As Lu Fan turned his camera towards everyone, Captain Li's image on the screen became a little clearer. His face was no longer just on the tab screen. His words touched the whole room. He looked at everyone with a slight smile, as if he was really there. "Hello," he said, then took a step back and clarified his position. "Old Bei Fei, I am the captain of the 78th Squad of the Griffin Regiment. Lu Fan's old comrade. Lu Fan asked us to build a tomb for the victims who died in the camp, and I, the captain, Ji Ling and Jinggu are all working together to complete this task." His voice was steady, but it exuded combat experience, leadership skills, and the dignity of a true soldier. "And I," he said after a pause, "I am here on Captain Tu's special order to investigate the attack on the border." A slight silence fell over the room. Xiao Man and Kim's eyes met instantly. They now understood that the matter was as serious as it was personal. Wuxian's face tensed a little, but his eyes remained steady, and Jianyang bowed his head slowly, the way to show respect to a true soldier. Lu Fan was now completely downcast. Amidst Captain Li's serious words, a cheerful voice suddenly echoed in the video call. Unfortunately, a voice with a light laugh said, "When we crossed the border, we saw that Lu Fan had already solved the case. He didn't leave anything for us." Now another face appeared on the screen smiling, but with the same gleam of experience in the eyes. Ji Lin. Lu Fan said with a smile, "Yes, and you always solve everything yourself," Ji Lin said. Turning around, then looking towards the room, Lu Fan has saved Ji Link's life many times, and Ji Link is also from Lugandu Academy. Just then a third voice was heard loud, cheeky, and with a very different tone on, Hey, stop bragging, you guys." And now another face appeared on the screen, Song Gu, in his usual demeanor, as if it were his responsibility to spice up every conversation. "Speak plainly," he joked. This whole matter was actually settled by the principal of Lugandu Academy, who personally crossed the border and brought everything under control. Lu Fan was just following behind, and everyone was still laughing at what Xingyu said when suddenly Lu Fan's face hardened a little. A light shadow appeared in his eyes. The atmosphere in the room slowly started to change, as if someone had suddenly stopped the air. Actually, Xingyu left his words incomplete. The real story of this mission is something else, what happened across the border. He took a deep breath. There was a massacre there, and it was none other than Lu Fan who did that massacre. The whole group, including Jin Jixi, was wiped out there. The room fell silent. Xiaoman and Kim's eyes met, both shocked, but did not dare to say anything. Jianyang looked down, and the smile on Wuxian's face had disappeared. The cheeks of all the members of Lu Fan's group were slowly turning red, from embarrassment, or perhaps from the discomfort of hiding what had just been revealed. They were silent. Their silence was the best answer. Just then Principal Wuxian, who had been listening all this while, slowly raised his finger. No words, just a small gesture. He slowly pointed to the tab and asked, "Is this top secret?" His tone was very light, but there was an order hidden behind it, as if she was reminding, "There are some truths that are best hidden from the heart, not from the world." Okay, guys, G. Lynx was now in front. His eyes had the depth that only those who have seen and endured a lot have. "It's been a while since we met. You can easily achieve the 4th level now." Lu Fan smiled, a little a tired but genuine smile. "Yes," he replied. "You're absolutely right. It's been more than half a year since we met." Then Captain Li quietly picked up his smartphone. He remained silent for a few moments, then turned the camera away from his face and back. The scene that appeared on the screen was not like a temple or a building. It was a simple, but extremely impressive stone, standing upright, and so tall that it gave the illusion of touching the sky. The captain's voice became soft. "This is the stone we have built in memory of all those victims. Of wordless tombstone." He remained silent for a few moments, as if no words could touch the silence of the stone. "This stone is much higher than their height," he said. "Their souls, their sacrifices are even higher. But we built it so that future generations would know who the people were who gave their lives for them." The camera was now fixed on the cold surface of the stone. Nothing was written on it yet, only its silence was speaking. When we take all the names," Captain Li's voice was firm, "then we will add the name of every martyr on this stone, so that no one forgets." Lu Fan slowly closed his eyes. "Those people have always," he said to himself, "were there to help me teleport." The scenes flashed before his eyes, the shimmering portals, the crumbling ground, and the faces that were now only memories. I hope the Jin family can find peace after their destruction." His breathing became a little heavy. For a moment, it felt like something was resonating in his chest. After the conflict with Taiku is resolved, Captain Li said, "You should come and pay your respects in person." His tone was not a command, not just a request, and an unspoken emotion. An unfamiliar, resonant voice reverberated in the room, deep but steady. Lu Fan immediately opened his eyes. "Who are you?" he asked, startled. Then a new image appeared on the tab screen. A man, standing upright, wearing a uniform whose creases spoke of discipline. On his chest glittered the golden griffin badge of, the highest insignia of the Griffin Legion. The man took a step forward now. His face was now fully revealed, serious, calm and determined. He said in a clear and formal tone, "Since I am here on the orders of the team leader." There was no emotional color in his voice, just the truth based on the solid foundation of duty. I have been sent here to investigate this entire conflict, compile the results, and prepare a final report, which will be published to both countries. Everyone in the room was now listening with rapt attention, as if every word was going to be recorded in history. According to the analysis of events, he went on, Barsado first launched a one-sided attack on the Dragon Kingdom camp, and then re-invaded the Tai Kingdom. Lu Fan's eyes darkened. It was all vivid in his memory. The Jin family became negligent in their duties, he added, and as a result their entire army was destroyed. Captain Lai's face was stern, but a streak of balance appeared in his eyes. The man now paused and looked at everyone. The Griffin Group and the Dragon City Academy successfully rescued the remaining citizens of the Dragon Empire amid this crisis. As soon as Lu Fan heard those words, his face hardened. "But that's not true." True, his voice rose. He was not shocked. He was shaken from within. He is shifting the blame of the entire incident from the Jin family to Barasto. This is a one-sided report? As he was about to move on, perhaps to say something else or to protest, when a hand was placed on his shoulder. A slow but firm signal to stop. Lu Fan turned around. It was the principal or supreme commander's messenger. There was clarity on her face, but a quiet insistence in her eyes. Is the best solution," she said calmly. "It's like killing two birds with one stone." A slight silence fell over the room. Everyone was wondering if this was right or just a political compromise. Then Kim, who had been watching and understanding everything so far, suddenly spoke up. "Wait a minute." He raised his eyebrows. "Are you really saying that you're killing two birds with one stone?" The man, who had been thought of as just a representative, smiled slightly at Kim's comment. He then looked at Lu Fan and said, arching his eyebrows slightly, "Your friend is very smart." His tone was slightly sarcasm, but also a hint of admiration, as if he was acknowledging that Kim had figured out the real trick. This report will leave no room for criticism among the rulers of Taiki, nor will the idolaters have any excuse to remain neutral. These words will spur them into action. His face was now completely calm, as if he had just completed a chess move that had been going on for months. Lu Fan stood, his fists slowly loosening. Then he slowly closed his eyes. "Now I understand." Bostek, the officer, the one with the golden griffin badge, was now standing in a very formal posture. He looked at Lu Fan one last time and then saluted him with full respect. "Features cares, thank you for your wisdom," he said. "This will help us find that heretic." Then he bowed his head and said softly before closing the tab, "A goodbye, Selen." As the screen went black, the air in the room became still. Principal Wuxian, who stood there, had a slight look of shock on his face. His brow furrowed. The officer with the golden badge just saluted Lu Fan. His mind was now full of questions. Does this mean that Lu Fan is on the same level? He looked at Lu Fan for a moment, his calm eyes, straight posture, and the silent acceptance that only people of great stature have. He should have at least one golden badge. Wuxian's lips were dry. His eyes were wide open. How is that possible? She was utterly shocked. Lu Fan, who she had treated with strictness and training until now, was now thinking about her in a different way. Everyone had slowly eased back into a lighter mood. Fan and Principal Wuxian were talking in a corner, a little bit comfortable, a little bit hesitant. Wuxian suddenly laughed, a light, shy laugh, and as the laughter subsided, his cheeks turned pink. Fan noticed immediately and asked with a slight smile, "Hey, what happened to you? Why did you laugh like that?" The principal didn't look at him, just stared straight ahead and said, "Nothing special." Then he bowed his head slightly. "I just think you're too ambitious." As she said this, her cheeks turned even redder, as if she was silently scolding herself for saying that. Lu Fan responded with a smile. "I'm feeling uncomfortable now." His voice was mischievous. "'Cause sometimes big sister scolds me, and sometimes she laughs like this. I don't understand." Lu Fan headed for the door, ready to go out. But as he opened the door, a shadow stood in front of him. Very big, very heavy. Lu Fan was startled. He looked up. "Hey, brother!" "Hi," he said in surprise. "Fee, how are you looking for me?" The man standing in front of him was a giant figure, broad shoulders, deep eyes, and a smile on his face. "Here's Andre, his old teammate, best friend from the days of the national test." Andre replied with a laugh the secus. "Of course I was looking for you, Lu Fan. Sure, you have been looking for me everywhere. But I finally found you." Lu Fan's eyes lit up. He spread both his hands. "Andre! Oh my God! I'm so happy to see you." They hugged each other tightly, as if they had read a forgotten chapter again. "Oh, you've really come to Dragon Country." Just then a familiar voice came from behind. "Come quickly." "Ah, quick, says Liv Fan." There was a bit of surprise and a bit of playfulness in her eyes. "Shh. Everyone will be shocked to see you at Dragon City Academy," Lu Fan said with a smile. "Come on then. Let's go home, there's a lot to talk about." Sarah, as he stepped inside, a familiar scent entered Andrew's nose. The warm aroma of spices, the slight sweetness of roasted rice, and the scent of a special dish that went straight to the heart. He took a deep breath, then smiled. "Sexta, I've come all the way to see you, but where does this wonderful scent come from?" His eyes now wandered to the food. Just then, a laugh came from around the corner. "Hey, is that Andre?" Hankis slowly appeared, twirling a wooden spoon in his hand. "Gia Oman told me that you praised my food a lot." Andre nodded immediately. "I can't forget that, friend. That roasted meat and that fennel soup." As soon as Hanke heard this, he smiled and said, "Then for today, there is a special arrangement." Then, as if magic happened, he started arranging bowls, plates one after another on the table. In a moment, the table was filled with food. Hot parathas, steamed rice balls, spicy noodle soup, spicy meat, and sweets that would make your mouth water just by looking at them. Come, let's all eat together," Hanke called everyone. Lu Fan was smiling. The principal was also looking at the food in surprise. All the other members slowly came near the table. And Andrea, now a little emotional, a little hungry, said as he walked towards the table, "Thank you very much. I really came at the right time." Andre's eyes widened as he saw the food. "Lo Fan," he said, as if dreaming. "Ever since the national test, I've been thinking about this food every day. It was really delicious." His voice was sincere, but from the other side of the table. Ses Kim and Gia Oman looked at each other and smiled as smiled. He's talking nonsense. Kirsaus Han Ki, who was very happy to hear the praise for his hard work, laughed and said, "If you like it, eat as much as you want. And if it's not enough, I can make more." Everyone laughed as soon as they heard this. Principal Wuxian also smiled and said, "Sister Han's cooking skills are really amazing. Even the international students seem to like it." Then he lightly pointed at Sandri and said, "Ves International." Andre laughed and immediately picked up the spoon and said without pausing, "Enel student, I have come to invite Lu Fan to Snow Country." "Stat? What?" Lu Fan, who had been enjoying his meal, suddenly stopped. "You are inviting me to the Snow Country?" There's his eyebrows raised. "Is there a special reason for this?" Andre quietly put his hands in his pockets. There was still light conversation and laughter all around, but his face had turned serious now. He opened his palm, and in it was a glowing object. Waves of blue and purple light seeped from his fingers, as if from another world. "I want to show you something. Lu Fan, this is what I came for." Everyone's eyes were now focused on the object. As Lu Fan laid eyes on it, a status window appeared toward me. Shadow Island breath, Tuoleas gradis epic material, Tuoleas description citor. The light stone is now corrupted by the power of shadows. Shadow breath has gradually gathered on Shadow Island. It is the breath that rises from the depths of darkness. Ao's Lu Fan's eyes widened. "Istas, Shadow Island, breathe," he mumbled. A name immediately flashed in his mind, Shadow Dragon King, and the contract that required 3 special materials to complete. This one of them. Say a wave of sass excitement and surprise ran through him. He slowly inhaled, as if he had touched an old dream. "Saxandra," said in a serious tone, "my family has received a great commission. We must go to Shadow Island and destroy the shadow waterfall that lies at the center of it. As a result, The entire island has been shrouded in black fog. The monsters there have become more elusive and deadly than ever. If I was only able to get this one ingredient from there, the rest is now up to you to do. He told the team to retreat. Anasindre said while wiping his mouth and then looked at Lu Fan's part. Pass, if you don't feel like eating now, he smiled. Then I'll eat. Lu Fan bowed his head, took a deep breath and said, and slice I know, and so he slowly looked to the side and said, I'm joining too. Just then, rapid footsteps echoed outside the door. Dap-dop, as if someone was walking with full force. The ground in front of the house started shaking. Hey! Andre was startled. You agreed so easily. There was surprise in his voice. I can't believe Lu Fan agreed to come with me without arguing. He still couldn't understand what the matter was. Hey, did you see? The guy who was heading to the island was so handsome? A girl whispered to her friend. He was dressed like he belonged to a noble family. Andre, meanwhile, said seriously, I was just about to say that this island is perfect for upgrading. The materials there will be extremely valuable. While they were talking, a figure appeared near the door. The person who had only been seen from afar was now at their door. He took a breath for a moment and then raised his hand to knock on the door. Success inside. Lu Fan looked at his elder sister and asked excitedly, Elder sister, may I go in? She was about to say something when as she coughed, Lu Fan was startled. He saw that big sister quickly put her hand over her mouth, and then when she removed her hand, blood, a few drops, but nothing was hidden from Lu Fan's eyes. His eyes widened, he couldn't even speak. Big sister was still smiling. She said yes, of course, you can go. Then she added with a slight tired smile. That's good too. Now the question arises, what is Big Sister hiding? Lu Fan's eyes were filled with panic. Big Sister, are you okay? What's going on? Her voice was shaking. Big Sister was about to say something, but her legs started shaking as she started fainting. Hey! Hanke immediately held her. Are you cold? Come, I'll put you on the sofa, get some rest. But Big Sister shook her head. No, there's no need for that. Her voice was low and shaking. Just then, tuk, there was a knock on the door again, and Lu Fan was startled. Who now? He peeked and reached out to open the door. Looks like there are a lot of guests coming over today. He thought to himself, but as soon as he opened the door, there was a stranger standing in front of him. Neat clothes, sharp eyes, and a heavy bag. He politely said to Sir, hello, excuse me, is Miss Wuxian here? Sir Lu Fan didn't understand anything. He asked directly, who are you? Matsa's elder sister, who was still standing inside, was stunned when she heard that voice. Her eyes widened. That's a look of absolute shock on her face, as if that voice had opened a door to a forgotten past. Longjing broke the silence for a while and then said, give me a chance to introduce myself. My name is Longjing. I am here in private. I am here together with Wuxian to discuss important matters concerning the Western region's noble families. Big Sister's eyes suddenly widened. She rushed towards Longjing in a rush and said to him in a rush, and Long, what are you doing here? She lost her composure in an instant. We clearly agreed that I will come back in a month and we will talk with you. And Lu Fan was deeply worried when he saw all this. He stopped Big Sister and said, Big Sister, please take care of yourself. But Big Sister's face was bleeding continuously. Lu Fan's heart became even more nervous. He became more worried and said, you should take care of yourself. But just as he noticed, Longjing opened her mouth again and said without pausing, so you're here. It was easy for me to find you. Now Lu Fan was beset by even more questions. Who is this man, and why is Big Sister so nervous? His state of mind and emotions were all tangled together. Longjing said in a calm voice, you don't have to wait for a month. As long as the Ye family stays under the Long family, I will help you deal with Wang. Then he paused for a moment and added, I can even leave Yechere Mountain to you. After all, the Ye family has been kind to us in the past. He was stunned for a moment. Then, the elder sister's voice was trembling, but with anger. She stepped forward and said, you guys. Her eyes turned red.
Hello, friends. Once again, welcome to our YouTube channel. I hope you like our videos.
The elder sister rushes outside, panic and anxiety clearly evident on her face. But then, as she looks ahead, she stops breathing. Her face turns pale and she falls unconscious to the ground. Lu Fan grabs her, his heart pounding. He asks desperately, "Sister, what happened to you? Are you okay?" The elder sister's eyelids flutter and she slowly opens her eyes. Her voice hides pain, but she tries to smile. "Nothing, just an old injury that probably hasn't healed with time," she says softly. Lu Fan's heart sinks, but what's even more mysterious is the man standing in front of her, watching everything quietly. There was no expression on his face, but there was a strange calm in his eyes. She slowly stands up, her movements still showing weakness. Fresh blood still drips from the corner of her lips, which drips down to her chin. Her gaze is steady, flat, but something smolders inside. She stares at him, as if there is an unfulfilled promise burning behind her eyes. Lu Fan walks towards her and asks in a concerned tone, "Hey, are you hurt? How did I not know?" But just then, the man standing in front of her speaks with a slow, yet extremely dangerous smile. "Oh, I really forgot. The wounds Wang Yuan left inside your body won't heal in a month." There is no mercy in his words, only contempt and intimidation. He takes a step forward and a cold gleam appears in his eyes. "With a body and mind like yours, dare to take on the Long and Huang families. This is foolish. Believe me, there is still time, think it through before making a decision." Lu Fan took a step forward and said firmly, "Big sister doesn't agree with you. So you should stop thinking about it now." His words were neither afraid nor hesitant. Big sister turned to him in shock. A shadow of fear appeared in her eyes. She knew that the man standing in front of her was deadly not only with his words but also with his actions. She was afraid that Lu Fan's audacity might get her killed. But just then, the mysterious man's smile faded. His voice came out low, but full of venom. "Oh, such a big family. And now their hopes are pinned on an innocent boy who has just started earning his bread." He leans towards Lu Fan as if playing the last move of a game. "Sire, I almost forgot." He smiled wryly, then said with a sharp tone, "We must now declare you the great hero of the Dragon Nation." Of his words were a bitter mockery, like someone rubbing salt into a wound. Big sister's breathing became rapid. Lu Fan's eyes burned, but he said nothing. Not yet. The elder sister's face had become even more gloomy. The passion and fearless courage in Lu Fan's eyes worried her. She slowly walked up to him and put a hand on his shoulder and said, "Isebs Lu Fan, don't worry about it. The battle between Long, Huang and the other powerful families in the western regions is something beyond what ordinary people can imagine. It's dangerous." Her voice was trembling, as if there was some unspoken fear hidden in every word. But a smile appeared on Lu Fan's face. He was not one to be afraid. He was someone who had learned the definition of relationships was not just to take, but to give back. "You have always helped me," he said in a deep voice. "Ness, and today when I have the chance to help you, I can't just stand by and watch." The man standing in front of her stared at her silently. Then, a slow, mysterious smile appeared on his lips, as if he was accepting Lu Fan's challenge in his own way. The man who had been hurting with his words, until now suddenly stepped forward and looked Lu Fan straight in the eye and said in a sharp voice, "Hey son, it seems you are indeed going to be given the title of hero, but you will have to pay for it with your life." He had a slight smile on his face, but his eyes were filled with deadly hatred, as if he would attack any moment. "Do you really think," he said with venom, "that winning a few small battles has made you invincible?" The air had become heavy. The elder sister's breath caught. But Lu Fan, he didn't move. He was still standing in the same place, head held high, eyes steady and the same confident smile on his lips. "At least," he said firmly, "I am strong enough to deal with the likes of you." His tone was calm, but his words were full of fire. The cloaked man remained silent for a few moments. Suddenly, a voice cut through the quiet air. Brother Lu Fan." Lu Fan turned around in surprise. His eyes flashed with surprise for a moment, and then recognition immediately. Behind him, his team members had appeared from the clouds of dust. Everyone stood firmly in their place, gleaming swords in their hands, the same determination in their eyes. At the forefront was Andra, the huge warrior, his heavy axe on his shoulder. He laughed and said, "You don't need to make any move now, brother. We are here. He will learn a lesson today." There was pride in his voice and also an insistence that Lu Fan is not alone. But Lu Fan raised his hand with a slight smile. "No," he said firmly, "there is no need for this fight." His words were simple, but they echoed wisdom and foresight. He wasn't afraid of fighting, but he knew that not every battle was fought with a sword. Meanwhile, another familiar figure emerged from the crowd. Xiaoji. Lightning flashed through her eyes as if she couldn't wait a moment longer. Her steps were swift, and her movements were full of uncontrollable energy. "Now," she said irritably. How long can we just talk? But then a bright smile returned to Lu Fan's face, the kind he only gave when everything was pre-arranged. He said in a firm voice, This lunch box is a gift from me to this family from the western regions." The robed man standing in front of him paused for a moment. The man's smile had faded. Waves of anger were running across his face, and his eyes were now glowing like embers. Suddenly, purple glowing energy surged around him as if the sky was about to burst. He bellowed a slogan, sent an ancient divine mantra, which echoed through the air like an arrow. Then the sky seemed to have burst. Thousands of swords, made of purple energy, appeared in the air. They were glowing in every direction, a warning of an unspoken war about to begin. "Hey," he roared, his voice deafening. "How dare a clown like you make such a scene in front of me?" The tension had now risen to pierce the silence. It seemed as if war was now inevitable. But then a voice rose above the deafening thunder. The elder sister's voice, Sas Long Jing. She spoke firmly, her voice filled with warning, not fear. "Do you want to break our agreement?" She stepped forward, standing between Lu Fan and the fuming Luong. Calm down," she said in a low but deep voice. Big Sister's restrained request was still hanging in the air when Xiaoji's eyes blazed with fire. "Ahanof," she roared. Waves of energy burst out of her body, and in the next moment, Shida's rushed Long Jin at lightning speed. Long Jin hadn't even fully deployed his swords before Xiaoji pulled him into the air by the neck and kicked him hard in the chest. "Seh." He collided with the window and fell out with a loud bang. The glass shattered, and his body hit the ground and fell into a pile of rubble. Long Jin was barely visible, buried amidst dust and rocks. Xiaoji pointed at him in anger and roared, "How dare he challenge my master?" His words were like arrows in the air. Everyone could see the loyalty and anger in his eyes. Lu Fan turned serious now. He walked towards the rubble with Xiaoji. The two slowly reached the place where Long Jin lay. Among the dust, rocks and broken walls, he was still breathing, but his body did not look badly injured. Come out, Long Jin," Lu Fan said in a stern but composed voice. If you still have any strength left in you, come out and fight." Lying in the rubble, Long Jin was breathing heavily, but his arrogance was still alive. Then suddenly, the dust clouds moved. Smoke began to rise around him, and his figure slowly emerged from the rubble. His face was now stained with anger, but his eyes had a new gleam. Dangerous, unwavering. He turned his head, spat on the ground, and then said in a resonant, deep voice, "Hey, Lu Fan, you're really in trouble now." He stood up straight, put his palms together and muttered an ancient incantation. The sound of the incantation reverberated in the air, as if an ancient power had been awakened. Suddenly, a glowing powerhouse appeared in his palm, vibrating with energy. That powerhouse was no ordinary one, with purple and black flames surrounding it. "That's why I just wanted to punish you a little," he said in a slow and cold voice, "but now it seems I'll teach you a good lesson." And at that moment, countless sharp swords appeared from all directions. They cut through the air, heading toward Lu Fan and his group. Each sword carried lightning, each a warning. As countless sharp swords floated into the air, Xiaoji didn't hesitate for a moment. A gust of wind rushed through the air. His body became a glowing line. But then Lu Fan, standing on the ground, smiled. A calm but heavy smile. He still stood in front of Long Jin, not at all perturbed. "I've changed my mind too," he said deeply. His tone was no longer light. It was like the silence that comes before a storm. "Xiaoji," he called out loudly, "change your base. It's time to take on World Destroyer form." The air suddenly became heavy. As Lu Fan commanded, World Destroyer disguise. Lightning flashed in Xiaoji's eyes. A fiery flame of energy rose up around her body, first blue, then black, and then deep red. The ancient symbols on her body glowed, as if a legendary seal had been broken. The next moment, flames shot out of her mouth, blazing, roaring, tearing through the sky. She was no longer just Xiaoji. She was the incarnation of the Black Dragon. Her eyes no longer held blazing fire, but the rage of the old world. Now her strength, agility, energy, endurance, everything had increased tremendously. The wind was slowing down around her. As she arrived right in front of the flying enemy, Long Jin, he froze for a moment. "Zara," he muttered. "This is no ordinary warrior. This is the power of the most powerful being in the world. No matter how powerful the dragon is. Today, I will be its killer." Jilong's voice was resonant and hateful. His eyes were burning with jealousy, and his soul was flaming with arrogance. But just as he thought of attacking, Lu Fan simply raised a hand. Xiaoji, his voice was resonant, but Cold's used the power of pressure. Now Xiaoji spread his arms in the air without wasting a moment, and then a strange energy began to spread around him. That was no ordinary energy. This was pressure. A force that not only crushes the body, but also as the mind and the soul. As this pressure began to spread throughout the area, as the air became heavy, as the ground trembled, as the sky seemed to bend, as Jilong could no longer stand still. For the first time, fear was on his face. His body began to shake. His hands, which were about to release the sword, were seized. What kind of power is this? He muttered to himself. I can't move my hands, my legs have sunk into the ground. Is this the power of the dragon? His mind was tingling. Fear on one side, arrogance on the other. He then took a deep breath and composed himself as he said, if it was anyone else, he would have fallen to his knees by now. But Alice, you're running into the Jilong family. And just as he finished the sentence, he got up with what little strength he had left and launched his countless swords at Zhao Ji with all his might. The swords shot out like lightning, cutting through the air and coming at Zhao Ji. Your dragon will not survive now. The man's voice was arrogant. His swords resounded in the air. Beyond Count Hess, each sword had a murderous intent. As those swords rushed towards Xiao Ji, everyone thought, something will break now. But Chan. Each sword fell down as if hitting an invisible wall. Not even a scratch. Xiao Ji stood as firm, surrounded by fire, as with the dignity of a dragon. The enemy's eyes widened, sweat appeared on his forehead. What are you kidding? My swords can't even touch them. How is that possible? He was stunned. Just then, Sazin Lufan slowly appeared, his movements confident, like a lion approaching its prey. Look carefully, he said, his voice deep and cold. This is the difference in ultimate power. Did you really think that you could kill my dragon like that? The enemy's face had turned white and then, as Xiao Ji pulled his head back, and then a fierce, fiery roar echoed across the field. Esquire. But the sound was so terrifying that as the earth shook, the air stood still, as the birds in the sky shrieked and fell. The enemy's ears burst, and blood oozed out. He fell to the ground, writhing in pain, screaming. Stop. This isn't a sound, this is hell. His hair flew in the air, his body shook. He was completely helpless. And then as Xiao Ji leapt into the air, rushed forward, and as she pulled out her strong, fiery claw, and smashed it right into the enemy's face. Hachiyu dim. The ground shook, a storm of dust rose, and the enemy fell several meters away into a pit. He was now lying on the ground, badly bleeding, blood running down his lips, his breathing heavy, fear in his eyes. He was no longer the invincible he once was. Now he was just a defeated warrior, whose defeat was clearly visible on his face. Stop, I give up, he said in a trembling voice. But Xiao Ji didn't waste a moment. She rushed forward like lightning and grabbed him completely with her burning claws. Now he couldn't even move. Only his neck was out of the ground. He was in a state like a hunter having completely cornered his prey. There was silence all around, only his gasping sounds could be heard. Just then, Lu Fan came close to him. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp enough to make his enemies tremble. He bent down and said in cold but firm voice, Essex, I'll give you a piece of advice. Now keep quiet. And if you want to save your life, get out of here quietly. He paused and then pointed at Xiao Ji and said, because you are beyond the ability to defeat my dragon. And remember, I already told you, I won't need to fight you. His words were neither arrogance nor cruelty, only a truth that even a defeated enemy could not deny. My dragon will defeat you. Jilong was still crushed under the claw, defeated, broken but not without pride. There were tears in his eyes of anger and humiliation. Lu Fan, he said in a trembling voice. Now the Long family will not spare you. You will have to pay a heavy price for this. But Lu Fan was calm. Without saying a word, he's pulled out the sword from his back, its blade glistening in the sun. He bowed and said in a cold voice, remember I did not kill you. Not because I fear the Long or Huang families, but so that you can return. And go tell them that after a month, I will return to the western regions with my elder sisters, and then I will come to settle scores, not to demand answers. His voice echoed, through the earth, the direction and the mind. He then turned his head and ordered, Xiao Ji, say goodbye now. Xiao Ji's eyes were full of fire. She clasped the enemy in her claws once again and slowly rose up into the air. Hopefully next time I won't have to show weakness, she hissed. And then, as a terrible screams, as a deafening roar, and then she hurled him into the sky with all her might. The body flew into the sky like a blazing star, and finally lost into the infinite heights of the sky. Lu Fan taught Zilong a lesson that not only shattered Zilong's arrogance, but also brought a great relief to Senior Sister. When Senior Sister saw this scene, her eyes flashed with satisfaction. Years of pent-up anger and humiliation seemed to melt away in an instant. She couldn't hold back her emotions. Tears flowed down her eyes, and she ran towards Lu Fan, jumping with joy. And then she hugged Lu Fan tightly, as if all the words of thanks were contained in that embrace. Senior sister's sudden hug left Lu Fan stunned. To him it was just a protest against injustice, but to senior sister, it was like unloading a burden that had been there for years. He didn't know how much pain he had inadvertently eased. Lu Fan had never felt someone's gratitude so closely. His heart began to beat faster, and his cheeks slowly turned pink with embarrassment. He couldn't say anything, just bowed his head with a slight smile. But the next moment, Lu Fan gently pushed senior sister away from him. There was a hesitant smile on his face. "Hey, senior sister," he said softly. "There's no need to be so polite." His tone was polite, but there was also an innocent hesitation in it. This sudden embrace surprised senior sister as much as Lu Fan. She hesitated for a moment. Her cheeks turned slightly red, and her eyes lowered. She tried to say something, but the words got stuck in her throat. A slight smile was on both their faces. A big sister's eyes drift back to the past. The time half a year ago, merciless, when she had lost loved ones in the unknown regions of the West. My grandfather and our 4 most powerful rank 4 masters, they're all gone. One by one, 2 of the 3 great families of the West, Huang and Long, rushed in like wolves. They rubbed salt in our wounds with their profits. A tired smile appeared on Big Sister's face. Kasai asked for help from all sides, but no one dared to anger Huang or Long. Yes, maybe they knew this was a battle to lose. Or maybe they wanted to deliberately turn a blind eye. She had prepared herself to lose everything. I had assumed in my heart that our end had come. All I wanted was for the survivors to somehow survive. But today, something had changed. When he saw Lu Fan standing by his side, when he saw someone who could stand by him without fear, senior sister was stunned for a moment. The sudden embrace of Lu Fan's arms made her feel all the pain of the past for a moment. "Your behavior today seems a little careless to me." She smiled lightly, but her voice trembled. But still, "Thank you so much, Lu Fan." I saw she was silent for a while, then her voice burst out. "Please, just say that I am no longer alone and helpless." Lu Fan was a little embarrassed. He scratched his head and said, "Not at all, senior sister." His face lit up. "You were the one who taught me the battle skills. You were the one who helped me find the magic scroll the first time." C became a little serious, "And you still quietly hid your wounds and came to the Tai Chi kingdom to save me. When you were worried about your family." Then he slowly looked at her. His eyes were filled with respect, gratitude, and something else. Something he found hard to put into words. "Now that the Huang and Long families have oppressed you," he took a deep breath. "Can I just stand aside? Can I forget everything you've done for me?" "No, senior sister," he said softly but firmly. "This time, I'll stand by your side." Senior sister's eyes were filled with tears, but they were no longer filled with fear or loneliness, but with a new hope. She smiled softly, and then wiped away her tears with her palms and said, "If I never thought a day would come where I would find myself relying so much on someone. Lu Fan, maybe you can really be my support." Her words contained years of pain and a moment of relief. But then a lively, firm and confident voice rang out from behind them. "And we are with you all the time." Senior sister and Lu Fan both looked back in shock. A month had passed in the ancient forest, where the rays of the sun barely reached the ground. This place, a legendary secret place given to us as a reward by Wa's elder Yev. And in the middle of it all, everyone's levels were increasing one by one. Brother Xiamen was now level 34. His sword was sharper than ever before. Arkan was level 33. Here's Kim, who was now level 34. Wa's Jian had reached level 35, and then there was Lu Fan, level 45. His mere presence struck fear into the heart of the enemy. Alas, Black Dragon, now at level 25, and Bao Bao is also qualified to become the most powerful magic dragon, and after reaching level 25, it has upgraded the Red Jade to Bright Velvet Jade, which doubles the wave power. A week had passed. Andre reported to the Dragon City Academy. The teleportation from Palang Port is ready. As soon as Lu Fan found out, he thought seriously. Shadow Island is an extremely dangerous place, so he decided to go with Andre. As soon as he got ready and walked towards the portal, senior sister's voice came from behind. "I'll go too." There was determination in her eyes. Lu Fan didn't try to dissuade her. "It's okay," he said. We'll go together. Yes, considering that senior sister was capable of dealing with a dangerous place like Shadow Island, Lu Fan ultimately did not refuse her. But one thing still bothered him deep inside. That old, hidden hurt from his elder sister. Seconds before stepping into the portal's bright light, Lu Fan paused for a moment, and his eyes fell on senior sister's face. She was smiling. The scene changes to the snow country port. Surrounded by blizzards and covered in a sea of white snow. Snowflakes danced in the air and every breath turned into white smoke. As the portal's blue light burst, Lu Fan and senior sister stepped out. Just then, a familiar voice resounded in the air. Brother, this way. It was Andre. The joy on his face was clear. He walked over and hugged Lu Fan and said smilingly, "Finally managed to get you here." Then, just like a host introduces his special guest, Andre introduced everyone. "This is Victor, level 91. This is Mikhail, level 92. And this is Ivan, level 91. All three of them are from Western noble families." Their faces were serious, but Lu Fan noticed the curiosity and assessment hidden in their eyes. Andre then pointed to the boats and said, "And here is a 20-member team of third-level masters. They will accompany us to Shadow Island. But there is one more thing." Andre smiled and said in a low voice, "Now it's time to show you our final trump card." Andre's eyes were filled with excitement. He smiled and came close to Lu Fan and said, "Brother, what you will see now may be the biggest turning point of your entire journey." Ixar's Lu Fan looked at him, and Andra proudly pointed to a huge, black metal battleship standing in the distance. Its shadow was casting deep on the snow. The snow was melting around it, as if it still had hot fire left. "This is a Poseidon-class battleship. It was designed by Old Hemlock," Lu Fan said in a serious tone. "But it's not just a ship, it's history." "What's the best part about this battleship?" Andre said softly, as if revealing a secret. "It's 36 magical cannons, DOS. Magical cannons that, if fired simultaneously, can level half an island." His voice was serious, as if he was imagining the destruction himself. They were built by the best engineers and top-class wizards at great cost. This isn't just any battleship. It's a mobile fortress of destruction. With this, he smiled, we can get twice the result with half the effort. And for a place as dangerous as Shadow Island, there couldn't be a better partner. Thus, when Lu Fan and senior sister saw the battleship and its destructive power, they both fell silent for a few moments. Lu Fan said in a low voice, "It's neither good nor bad. It's really inhumane." His eyes were a little worried, but also full of unwavering confidence. He then smiled and said to Andre, "But I've made all the preparations to go to this island." Andre put his hand on his back and laughed. Brother, with you by our side, we're sure to win. There's nothing to be afraid of now." After that, everyone boarded the battleship. Breaking through the heavy waves, the boat slowly headed towards the mysterious Shadow Island. The sea air now had a different kind of uneasiness, as if some invisible force was watching them. The boat was slowly moving through the waves. Until now, the sky had been calm, but suddenly it began to cloud over. Dark, heavy clouds gradually covered the entire sky. Lightning flashed on the surface of the sea, as if the sky was shouting a war cry. The next moment, it began to rain heavily. The sound of heavy drops echoed on the surface of the sea, and the waves began to rage. Lu Fan's eyes immediately became alert. As the wind picked up, he ran out of the room. Senior sister and the other members followed him outside. "This is no ordinary storm," senior sister said in a worried voice. They looked towards the sea and suddenly felt the presence of monsters. At the same time, a starlight called Starfall is activated that continues to fall within the galaxy. Other skills can be used during Starfall. Starfall will last forever unless it is cancelled. As the rain intensified, the surface of the ocean shook, and then suddenly the waves began to burst. One after another, countless monsters emerged from the ocean. Some had bodies covered in thorns. Some had poison dripping from their mouths. Then a terrifying roar resounded. A giant snake-like monster many times longer than the boat rose up from the ocean. Its eyes glowed like embers, and its every move caused waves to surge. "They're here." Andre's eyes were filled with panic and excitement at the same time. He turned to look at Lu Fan and said, "Brother, everything seems much easier this time thanks to you. My last trip was hell, Sesanalar's star dragon, with a bright celestial light. the star dragon appeared. Now at level 34, a blue dragon emerged, level 26, as calm and deep as the ocean itself. Andre had a slight smile on his face, but the admiration in his voice was not hidden. Looks like we're gonna win without a fight. Asuri, if we can reach the island and collect some rare artificial materials, this trip will be a success, Lu Fan said. Looking out into the distant horizon, Andre fell silent for a moment. His voice was now lower and more serious than before. Close to Shadow Island, as he spoke, the fog began to clear ahead, and a huge, black, rock-like mountain appeared. Mysterious, terrifying, and almost alive. Look, Andre pointed excitedly. This is just the outside. The real danger is hidden inside. He turned back and looked at the whole crew, then said, Dulce, don't worry. I can open a safe passage according to the mission instructions so that the warship can sail straight to the shore of the island. Seer. The boat was now slowly heading towards the Black Island, bobbing through the stormy waves. There was an unknown fear floating in the air. Under the shade of the dense forest was an old wooden house. Under the house, an old man sat quietly meditating. His breathing was regular, as if he was completely unaware of the storm outside. Just then, there was the sound of heavy footsteps on the wet ground. The old man didn't open his eyes, but his face changed momentarily, as if he sensed a familiar aura. He said softly, his voice neither surprising nor frightening. The sound stopped. A tall, shadowy man stood in front of him, a huge sword slung across his back, and eyes full of years of experience. Raswang Yutian. Level 98 Tase, name that made the plains tremble, an unrivaled swordsman of the fourth profession. He stopped in front of the old man to find out what happens next. Light sunlight filtered through the wooden walls. There was an old cultivation site, quiet but full of energy. A young man walked in slowly. He folded his hands, bowed his head, and said respectfully, Ancestor. The meditating old cultivator's eyes slowly opened. As soon as he felt the young man's presence, a faint smile appeared on his lips. This family ancient temple is truly magical. The young man said, his eyes still glowing with cultivation. In just a few days, I broke through the 97th shackle Zhang, and today I have reached the 98th level. It's amazing. The ancestor took a deep breath and replied in a low voice, You are truly a rare genius of the Wang family. He cast his gaze into the distance as if reminiscing old times. Just the day before yesterday I went on a 3-day retreat with your uncle and aunt. We have been trying for years, but the gains we made are not even half of what you have made in these 3 days, Lu. The room was quiet for a while. The wind outside was moving the leaves, as if the trees were listening to the discussion attentively. Hearing this, the young man bowed his head and said softly, Ancestor, perhaps this is the result of my talent, or perhaps. But then the old ancestor raised his hand to stop him and said in a calm voice, No, it's not just a question of ability. It's also a question of that wealth, that aura, that special quality, that flows within you. He looked at him deeply as if reading his soul. Your uncle and you, both are masters of the curse. Your blood has a mark that ordinary cultivators never touch. Then he looked at the walls of the temple. Faction ancient temple. He said softly, This is not just a structure, but the abode of the souls of the immortal swordsman gods. Their path, their religion, is different from ours. That's why ordinary cultivators cannot even feel their presence. The young man was about to say something when the ancestor's gaze became more serious. It is a pity, he said softly, that one can enter this temple only once, and that too for only 3 days. If I could get 1 or 2 more years there, perhaps I would reach the 100th bar, on the threshold of immortality. The old ancestor slowly picked up the coffee cup on the table. The steam touched his cheeks, but his gaze was stuck in another time. He said slowly, Yutian. The name slipped from his lips like an old feast. Then he took a long sip, as if tasting the thoughts. After the 4th level, he said in a mysterious voice, It is impossible to advance by just accumulating experience. The young man was startled, but kept quiet. He knew that some mysterious pearl of wisdom was about to fall. After that point, what matters is, he said slowly, how well you understand the depth of your class, what the essence of your power is, what your professional specialties say. He waved his hand in the air, drawing an invisible line, as if showing a way. It's easy to pick up a profession. His voice had grown heavier now, but to understand it, to absorb it, and then to master it. That is the real cultivation. Yu Tian's eyes glowed slightly. He looked more serious now. When you know, the ancestor said, how to hone your strength, then the next level will automatically welcome you down. Yu Tian's eyes closed for a moment. His breathing was deep, but his face was calm. A thought flashed somewhere inside. Is this just an illusion? Vaccine ancient temple? The mysterious place flashed in his mind. Why did I feel every second? As if some invisible wisdom was touching me. As if the old letters engraved on my soul had shown again, he wondered. Perhaps it was not because I practiced more, but it was because I gained a new understanding of my profession's characteristics. That's why upgrading came so smoothly for me. He slowly opened his eyes. Then he bowed before the elder with complete respect. Ancestor, his voice was deep, I have learned this lesson. Now I understand that power comes from understanding, not just from level. Yu Tian asked softly, Ancestor, when I was on the mountain, I heard some rumors about the Yi family and the Long family. Perhaps there was some old grudge, but I didn't understand clearly. What he really wanted to know was the famous fight between Lu Fan and Ji Long. When Lu Fan saved senior sister from Ji Long's abusive intentions, the ancestor paused for a moment before saying, what you heard was not a rumor. Ji Long, the heir of the Long family, trampled on the rules of tradition. He forced the daughter of the Yi family. He pauses, as if trying to find his words. To surrender before the set time. An act that would be called exploitation, not respect. Yu Tian's brows furrowed, his voice hardened. And then, no one opposed him. Ancestor's eyes flashed with pride for a moment. It was done. That girl had a disciple, Lu Fan. He didn't ask for permission from any big faction or clan. He simply followed the voice of his soul and taught Ji Long a lesson publicly, in front of everyone. Yu Tian's eyes widened. He said in disbelief, are you saying that a student taught Ji Long a lesson? But he was his senior sister's disciple, and Ji Long, he's a master of the 4 professions. His tone now carried a deep confusion. Yes, his ability may be average, but he has at least reached the 4th level. If he fought me, he would have lasted 3 rounds. He paused, as if not trusting his own words. Then he whispered, is that the same Lu Fan? The one who has been in the news recently? The new hero of Dragon Country? The ancestor bowed his head and said with a slight smile, yes, the same Lu Fan, the one who won the national trials, and the one who defeated an arrogant warrior like Ji Long. Yu Tian was now completely stunned. He was only at the 45th level. Then how? How can someone gain so much power at this age? The ancestor spoke in a deep voice. That boy has become too arrogant. He ignored our rules. He revealed all the secrets about that family. Send a message to the Long Jin family. Tell them, return that girl within a month, and settle all old accounts with our Huang Long family. After hearing everything, Yu Tian says that it is not his fault. He does not know his place. After all, he still does not understand what kind of power the noble families represent. When you are young and full of energy, you climb very high, and now, when you fall down, it hurts you the most. Yu Tian weighs his words, then says in a deep voice, if that guy is really that arrogant, then obviously, he has the power of many countries behind him. But he pauses. If he really dares, if he sets foot in my western border within a month, then I won't kill him. Ancestor takes a deep breath and thinks for a while. Then he says softly, if that young man accepts the Huang family's service, I can make him not an ordinary warrior, but a future general. For any war, mental and bloody, we need such people. Yu Tian leans toward him, then smiles confidently. If he has sense, he will recognize our kindness. What he will get, respect, power, protection, can't be obtained anywhere else. The Huang family never treats its subordinates unfairly. Ancestor strokes his long beard gently, memories of an old war flashing in his eyes. That's fine, but the Long family, they may have different intentions. If the Yi family falls, they know better than we do who will be the next victim. Open wars will surely occur, but the real battle will be behind the scenes. Yu Tian's face has now hardened deeply. He stands up straight and says, Ancestor, rest assured. This matter is now my responsibility. If the Long family misinterprets our politeness as weakness, then I will personally make them realize that nobility in this world is not determined by blood, but by power. And power is now with us. On the other side, the boat slowly approaches the quiet riverbank. As the boat docks in the misty environment, Lu Fan is the first to disembark. Behind him, his team, Andre, senior sister, and other members, begin to disembark one by one. Then Andre, walking with Lu Fan, asks hesitantly, "Are you sure you're not taking them along?" Lu Fan stops. He looks at the forest spread out in front, where every tree stands as if wrapped in some unknown mystery. He answers without looking back. Lu Fan is silent for a while, then slowly takes steps forward, looking at Andra. His voice is calm but firm. "Andra, this fog you see is not just smoke in the air. It is the shadow fog, slow like poison but deadly. The deeper you go in, the faster it will start sucking the strength out of your muscles. Your senses will go numb, and you won't even realize how close death is to you." Andra's face turns serious. "And if we take too many people," Lu Fan continues, "then when one person's condition starts to deteriorate, the others will have to stay to save them. And even a moment's delay could spell death in this place." He takes a deep breath. "I need people who are fast, accurate, and mentally strong." Andra thinks for a while, then nods and says, "Okay, you're right." Lu Fan's words startled the priest. His eyebrows furrowed and a slight irritation appeared in his eyes, as if he felt insulted. "So you mean?" The priest said softly but sharply, "We are a burden to you. We have no strength." Lu Fan looked at him coldly, his eyes showing neither hatred nor arrogance, just cold understanding. "I never said you were weak," he replied in a calm voice. "But if you think you can stay on Shadow Island based on rank alone, then you have already lost. So, will you go without the priest?" The priest said in a very cold voice, "Then who will show you the way in?" On hearing this, our hero said that I don't need a priest. I have a dragon who is a priest himself. The member standing next to the priest was momentarily stunned by what Lu Fan said. His eyebrows furrowed and his voice was filled with disbelief. "Are you kidding?" he said sharply. "How can a dragon pet play the role of a priest? This isn't a battle game where strength is everything." His tone was filled with sarcasm. The air became heavy for a moment. But then the other man standing next to him spoke a little calmer, as if he was speaking from experience. "No," he said slowly. "Dragons are indeed powerful, but that's only limited to their offensive ability. When it comes to healing and purification, when it comes to souls, they are far behind priests." After a while of argument and silence, the priest's companion took a deep breath. His eyes showed disagreement, but his face showed fatigue and resignation. He said softly, "Goodbye, Brother Lu Fan, you take care of your own arrangements." His words were bitter, but there was also respect hidden somewhere, perhaps for Lu Fan's fearlessness or for the strange faith he had in his dragon. Then everyone, including the priest, slowly started to return to the boat. As he walked forward, Andre paused for a moment and looked back. He raised his hand gravely and called out, "You all stay in the boat until we get back. This place can be dangerous." Now Lu Fan and his small group slowly moved deeper into the thick, mysterious fog. With each step, the ground seemed a little colder, as if it was gripped by an invisible force. There was a strange humidity in the air. It was neither rain nor wind, but every breath seemed to be a burden on the lungs. After walking a little further, senior sister suddenly stopped. There was a thin layer of sweat on her forehead, and her face looked paler than ever. She looked at Lu Fan. Her eyes were filled with worry, fatigue, and an unspoken warning. "Lu Fan, our bodies are getting heavier with each step, not just day by day. This fog," she took a deep breath, as if it took energy to say the words out loud. "It is swallowing up our lives, not slowly, but quickly." Lu Fan's brows furrowed. He paused for a moment. Andre took a deep breath. His breathing was heavy now, and sweat was shining on his forehead. The cold of the fog had penetrated deep inside him, but he forced himself together. "I feel it too," he said, his voice a little softer than before, but still determined. "This fog is draining our strength. But," he paused, clenching his fists, "I can still hold on." He turned to Lu Fan and senior sister. His eyes were full of determination, but there was also a hidden worry that could no longer be hidden. "But if we just go in further, without stopping, without thinking." He looked around. "We will quickly lose our lives. The hunger of this fog never ends." Lu Fan listened quietly, but his eyes were fixed ahead, deep in the fog, as if he was trying to identify something unseen. "Now is the time," he said deeply. And at that moment the air trembled. Xiaofei. Her name appeared in Lu Fan's mind like a mere thought, and the next moment a shadow cut through the air, emerging from the mist, huge, mysterious, and glowing with a bright green light. Xiao Fei had appeared. He was no ordinary being. The emerald aura surrounding him cut through the fog like a heavenly ray overpowering the darkness. Without hesitation, Lu Fan ordered, "Xiao Fei, release the emerald light. Show us the way and dispel this fog." Xiao Fei's eyes glowed. A wave burst out from her body, and in an instant, a wavy streak of green light rose from her back and spread out all around. The fog began to move. Slowly, the heavy mist began to retreat, and the path in front of them began to brighten. Everyone stood stunned. Then suddenly, 3 intense waves burst out from Xiao Fei's back, layers of emerald blessing which covered Lu Fan, Andre, and senior sisters' bodies one by one. With each layer, their breathing began to steady. The fog's effect seemed to be diminishing. The body's exhaustion slowed down, and consciousness became sharper. This emerald light was no ordinary skill. It created 3 layers of emerald blessing on each person, which eliminated all kinds of negative effects, and increased all attributes such as strength, agility, stamina by 30%. Plus, each layer can block lethal damage once. That's a full defense for up to 3 attacks. Whoa, senior sister looked surprised. I've never felt magic like this. This isn't a protective barrier, it's a blessing. Andre nodded. Now I understand why you didn't need a priest. Xiao Fei. She's a walking temple. But the next moment, something that no one had imagined happens. Andre's eyes widen. His tired body, which was staggering slowly till now, suddenly fills with energy. He stands up with all his might, as if someone has breathed new life into him. He takes a deep breath and says in surprise, "What was this?" All my fatigue disappeared, and my strength is stronger than ever. There was a look of surprise and disbelief on his face. The last time the priests came to this place, they collapsed in just a few hours. But now, it's as if nothing happened. The senior sister standing nearby also slowly looks at her hands, feels her breathing, and then says in shock, "The fatigue in my body has completely disappeared. And my inner strength has also increased. How is this possible?" Andra, who was now filled with power, felt a strange excitement surging within him. He picked up his huge hammer from the ground, and his voice boomed as his muscles tensed. "I think I feel stronger than ever. Let's head straight to Shadow Falls." His roar caused a stir in the fog as he charged forward. His pace grew faster, and he was quickly far ahead of the others, about 100 meters ahead. But just then, Lu Fan's eyes trembled slightly. His eyelids contracted, and his breathing became labored. Something had changed in the air. The atmosphere became heavy. "Andra, just a minute! Wait!" Lu Fan called out loudly, his hand raised in the air, but Andre had already moved forward. He stopped, looked ahead, and whispered, "Hey, what's going on?" Lu Fan, who had now turned his back. Friends, this is where this exciting chapter ends. What will happen next as Lu Fan and his group step into the darkness of Shadow Falls? Will they be able to escape the mysterious danger lurking in the fog? If you want to know what is going to happen to them, don't miss the next chapter.